The Sewol-ho ferry sunk off the southwestern coast of Korea on April 16. The majority of those on board were juniors from Danwon High School in the city of Ansan, Gyeonggi-do Province. They were heading to Jeju Island for a group field trip.
Thank you for joining us for our ongoing coverage.
Arirang TV reporters were quickly dispatched to cover the sinking of the Sewol-ho ferry, which is one of the deadliest tragedies in Korea in decades.
Operations for those on board the sunken Sewol-ho ferry.
In the newsroom went along with the reporters as they covered this tense and nerve-wracking situation. April 21st marked the 6th day of the search and rescue efforts. Reporter Hwang Sung-hee quickly runs to check on the death roll. Her heart is heavy every time she returns from checking the list.
이렇게 이어지게?
그러면 뭐 여기 한담금 in addition to that guideline 이야기하시면 되지 않아요?
Reporter Kim Young-gil has been reporting live for a week from the Arirang news team tent set up at Paengmok-hang Harbor, and Hwang Sung-hee joined him on Sunday evening.
저도 여기 올라가야 돼요?
Since then, she has been delivering the latest news from the harbor along with Myung-gil.
It's only 9 a.m. here in Korea, and already 5 bodies were retrieved this morning. Are still missing. 저런 배에서 와요? Remain relatively low at around 1 meter. It's been Hwang Sung-hee reporting from the Paengmok-hang Harbor.
Early on Monday morning, the 21st, ambulances and relief goods begin arriving at the Jindo auditorium. The auditorium is a temporary place for victims' families to stay while they wait for word on their loved ones. Most families leave after the bodies of their loved ones are recovered. But there are still many families waiting restlessly for news about their children. Reporter Hwang Ji-hye is stationed at the Jindo auditorium. She came down to the site on Sunday evening and is busy preparing for live coverage without a moment's rest.
They have been huddled in an indoor auditorium near the accident site in Jindo, where our Hwang Ji-hye joins us live. Ji-hye, how's it over there?
It's relatively calm here, but the atmosphere grows tense each and every time a body is pulled out from the vessel, while the families are trying very hard to stay calm. They look very, very exhausted, many barely able to eat or sleep.
An upcoming briefing by the families of the missing victims is being announced during our live coverage.
Just in case there are survivors, but hopes are fading fast. This was Hwang Ji-hye reporting live from Jindo Auditorium.
뭐라 그랬어?
2시에
네.
자세한 뭐 상황을
The reporters are stationed on the second floor of Jindo Auditorium, and it's because the families of the deceased rejected interviews. The bereaved families and the reporters are exhausted from the continuous news coverage, and there was a small scuffle between the families of the missing victims and the reporters. Ji-hye feels uncomfortable watching everything taking place. Another corpse arrived at Paengmok-hang Harbor. The corpse was placed onto the ambulance. Sang-hee tries to get confirmation, but it isn't easy.
그냥 64로 가면 되겠네요. 여기 또 막 절개하고 난리인데.
많이 가까이서 못 가고 그냥 얼굴 확인하고 있는 거지 안에 들어가서 다녀오셨다면
The two reporters have to deliver the news and aren't allowed time to grieve over news of another death.
Thanks for tuning in. It's 10 a.m. on a Monday, April 21st here in Korea, live from Seoul. I'm Jeju. The death toll continues to rise and unfortunately is expected to go up even more in the coming hours and days. Now let's go straight over to our Hwang Seong-hee and Ji Myung-gil at Paengmok-hang Harbor, some 20 kilometers away from the accident site. What's the latest, guys?
Jeju, it's only 10 a.m. here in Korea, and already 5 bodies have been retrieved today, raising the total confirmed death toll to 64. And rescue teams are racing against time to find survivors in the capsized vessel.
That's right, Sung-hee. The rescue team deployed underwater drones last night to speed up the rescue process.
It's time for the briefing by the person representing the families of missing victims.
3, 4층의 그 부분들을 격벽 있는 부분을 유리창을 다 깨고 또 혹은 용접으로 뚫어서 진입을 해서 생존자 확인 및 시신이 있으면 수습을 하려고 하고 있답니다. 오늘부터 본격적으로 그 작업을 해서 저희가 요구하는 답은 그겁니다. 다음 주 수, 목까지 생존자 확인과 시신을 완벽하게 수습을 좀 해주십시오라고 부탁을 드렸습니다. 지금 여기 저희 그 학부모님께서 얘기하셨습니다. 기자분들 진짜 조심해 주십시오. 원하지 않는 유가족들의 사진을 내지 마십시오. 정말 내지 마십시오.
The atmosphere at the Jindo auditorium is also very heavy.
할아버지 오늘 오신 거예요?
그렇지. 우리 아들하고 몇 년째 하는 문제라고. 어렵지.
손자가 17살? 18살?
17살이지.
고1?
고1 때. 그럼 우리 못 건너치죠. 여기도 수학여행 가서 배가 파손이 됐다는 건 알지. 수시고 갈지 몰라요.
답답하거나 그런 건 없어요? 많이.
못하죠. 많이 못하죠. 많이 왔으면 인상했어. 내 서울 애만 타지.
쌤 정말 죄송한데 혹시 그냥 이런 얘기 잠깐 카메라 앞에서 해주셔도 돼요? 짧게.
Hwang Ji-hye feels grief over the tragedy. But as a reporter, she feels frustrated by the lack of information coming out over this devastating incident. Ji-hye quickly prepares for the afternoon live connection.
3번 게이트 앞으로 나오시기 바랍니다.
Ji-hye, it must be a distressful situation there for these families.
Of course, and just about an hour ago, a briefing took place right here at the Jindo Auditorium, explaining families about the progress that Coast Guard and military have made so far in rescue operations. The representative of the families told others that he asked authorities to wrap up search and rescue operations by this Thursday, waiting for the missing, and they could barely speak. As they started the conversation, they were overcome with emotion. This was Hwang Ji-hye reporting live from Jindo Auditorium.
그럼 기상 상태 안 좋은데 어떻게 들어가시고 어떻게 작업하신 거예요?
그래도 해야죠.
들어가서 구체적으로 어떻게 작업하신 거예요?
일단은 계속 그 공속에 들어가가지고 라인 설치하고 또 들어가서 유리 깨고 들어가서 확인하고 그래요.
그럼 지금 작업은 어디까지 돼 있는 거예요? 잡으신 거예요?
여러 조가 있잖아요. 한 5조가 있으니까 서로 이렇게 이제 라인 설치되어 있는 것마다 이렇게 들어가서 지금 하고 있어요.
앞이 얼마큼 보이세요?
The rescue operations are taking place at a fast pace, but there is no news of survivors at Paengmok-hang Harbor. Myung-gil and Sung-hee collected information and continued with their news coverage until the late hours.
Which is just 20 kilometers from the accident scene. Guys?
Yusan, another body has just been retrieved a few hours ago, raising the total death toll to 65. The body has yet to be identified, but it is believed to be a female high school student.
The weather conditions tonight seem favorable, with winds reaching up to 5 meters per second and tidal waves reaching the 1 meter level. This was Myung-gil and Hwang Sung-hee live from Paengmok-hang Harbor.
Anchors at the News Production Center deliver the breaking news every hour.
It's 2 p.m. on Tuesday, April 22nd here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I'm Moon Conn-young.
It's been more than 6 days.
The Arirang TV studio is bustling with a lot of activity, with the latest from the various scenes throughout the nation, and with coverage of updated news.
Now, Korea isn't alone in this monumental task of combing the Sewol-ho ferry for survivors and bodies.
Road said the door to dialogue remains open for Pyongyang.
Anchor Moon Conn-young prepares for the next broadcast as soon as the previous one is done.
그 현빈이가 지금 브리핑 때문에 15시 연결하지 않겠다는 거죠? 맞죠? 명길 연결, 그다음에
Everyone at the news center gives it their all in their respective roles.
주소나 봤지? Hello. Hello. 검찰 청해진 관계인 30명 추가 출국. 청해진 안 할 거야? 안 해?
As soon as a new piece of information is verified, Conn-young sits at the anchor desk and does the news broadcast.
너무 고생하는 것 같아, 지금도.
She expresses affection for her fellow reporters.
It's 3 p.m. on Tuesday, April 22nd here in Korea.
We have a correspondent on site. Our Myung-gil joins us live. Myung-gil, more bodies are being retrieved. We see that, but no news of survivors.
Unfortunately, that is the case, Conn-young, as you said.
How they have been coping with these harrowing times for the past 6-7 days.
Conn-young, it's been an agonizing week for people who are waiting here, and as you would imagine, the atmosphere is extremely, extremely heavy and depressing.
She also connects with a foreign expert and hears different insight on this devastating incident.
Captain should either stay on the ship or be in the scope of the ship before everyone's off the actual ship.
The most important thing about breaking news is providing accurate and fair news coverage rather than becoming too emotional.
어쨌든 거기서 하는 얘기나 지금 팽목항에서 하는 얘기나 거의 비슷하기 때문에 기록이 돼서
내가 나눠 가자 그랬거든. 현빈이가 지금 다
브리핑 때문에 이제 안 되는
The atmosphere at the news center has been tense and chaotic every day since the capsizing of the Sewol-ho passenger ferry. Everyone shares in the sorrows of recent days, but does his or her best from their respective positions.
Our 신세민 is out at one of the hospitals in Ansan. 하면 시작하면 될 것 같아. 두 개 다 안산이야?
Oh my God. What?
We're dressing black.
It's 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 22nd here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I'm Moon Conn-young.
I'm Daniel Cha. Thank you for joining us.
So guys, what's the atmosphere there like?
We saw the official death toll exceed over 100 today.
Now, in general, what are some of the challenges that search and rescue teams, including underwater divers, face in carrying out their mission under such circumstances?
Well, these are very difficult and tragic circumstances, and again, sympathies of the International Maritime.
Our Shin Se-min is out at one of the hospitals in Ansan that is receiving the bodies. Se-min, what's the latest from where you are?
Conn-young and Daniel, a total of 11 victims have been released from the city of Ansan today. And of those, five were students who were released from this hospital, Korea University Ansan Hospital, the International St. Mary's Hospital, which is where 7 other recovered bodies are being held. And that's all for now. And this has been Shin Se-min reporting live from Korea University of Ansan Hospital.
On Tuesday evening, April 22nd, reporter Shin Se-min has been reporting live from Korea University Ansan Hospital. The rescued students from Danwon High School are at this hospital receiving treatment. Meanwhile, funerals for the deceased students are also taking place at the hospital.
저렇게 들어오는 거 아니죠, 은거는? 아까 그거. 그건 뭐야, 그럼? 들어왔다는데? 우리가 못 본 것 같아요. 선배, 19시 PD님 누구세요? 여기 방금 뭐 들어온 것 같아서 저기 지금 소리 들리고 하는데 저 들어가야 돼요? 아, 네, 알겠습니다. 그럼 저 20시는 빠질 수 있어요? 여기 계속 픽스 돼 있어서 하면 아무것도 알 수가 없어요. 그리고 업데이트 할 시간도 모자라고. 네.
A vehicle carrying the coffin arrives at the hospital, but Se-min does not cover it. The families of the deceased have requested that the media respect their privacy, and it was difficult for Se-min to do the coverage on her own.
Se-min, what's the latest from where you are?
Yes, Yusan, just a couple of minutes ago, another body has just arrived here at the city of Ansan, here at Korea University of Ansan Hospital. I do not have specific details as of now, but I will keep you updated in the later newscast. Meanwhile, a total of 11 victims has been released from the city of Ansan, including this one right here. And that's all for now, and this has been Shin Se-min reporting live from Korea University Ansan Hospital.
She had some extra time as she did not have to connect live with the studio for the 8 p.m. news. She decided to cover a story by going on location.
아까 또 한국 들어온 거 맞죠? 근데 이제 그거에 대한 정보 어떻게 좀 알 수 있을까? 원래 제가 처음에 왔을 때도 이 병원에서는 6구만 유치할 수 있다고 들었었는데 지금 6구가 있는 상태에서 또 한 구가 들어온 거 아닌가요?
이거는 이제 빈소 6분이 계시는 거고 나머지 이제 안치하시는 분들이 있네 계시는 거고.
Se-min heads over to the press room set up at the hospital. Along with the facts she got from the interview, she collects additional materials and prepares for her next news connection.
또 한 구 더 들어왔잖아요. 그거 관련해서 혹시 아세요?
옷이라고 들었는데 이름 모르겠고
누구요?
옷이요.
옷이.
안치가 12구까지 할 수 있대요.
지금 혹시 몇 구 돼 있는지 아세요, 여기?
지금 저까지도 지금 딸려온 거예요. 6구에 한 구 더 들어온 거예요.
아, 지금 그럼 총 7구인 거예요? 그거랑 지금 빈소랑 합쳐서 한 거죠. 그러니까 6구 안치된 것 중에서 6구가 빈소가 있었던 거고 그 중에 한 구가 더 들어와서 지금 안치실에 있는 거죠.
She found some new facts thanks to a fellow reporter.
That's right, a temporary altar for Danwon High School.
She prepares for the 9 p.m. news with updated information.
Se-min, what's the latest from where you are?
Yes, a total of 11 bodies have been released today just from the city of Ansan here, and 5 of those students released from this location at Korea University Ansan Hospital. More victims come and go, and just an hour ago, 2 more victims have arrived, the bodies of Danwon High School students with the surname O and another unknown. But not much else has been released about the identity of the students. And that brings a total number of victims lying here at 8, which is where 7 other recovered bodies are being held. And that's all for now. And this has been Shin Se-min reporting live from Korea University Ansan Hospital.
수고하셨습니다. 뭔가를 따야 될 것 같은데 따고 싶은데 다름 아니라
Semin asks the mourners, volunteer workers, and families of the deceased at the funeral parlor for interviews, while remaining respectful of the situation.
아리랑 TV에서 나왔는데요. 혹시 그냥 짧게 몇 가지 좀 여쭤볼 수 있어요?
저는 아무것도 없는데.
아.
되게 답변할 수 있는 그게 아는 걸로.
그리고 이렇게 사태가 이렇게 진도가 나가고 있는데 어떻게 보면 더디다고도 말도 많이 하고 그냥 본인이 느끼셨을 때 어떠신지. 혹시 카메라 인터뷰 짧게 가능할까요? 그건 안 돼요. 그럼 죄송해요. 그냥 카메라 없이.
거기 안에서나 뻗치다가 하늘로 간 거죠.
그러니까 결국에는 구조 대처가 늦었다는 거죠.
네. 절차가 늦어지고 하고 여기에서 생각하시는 것보다 훨씬 더 험악하고 그렇습니다. 이제는 드릴 말씀 없어요.
네, 감사합니다. 감사합니다. 안녕하세요.
April 23rd, 9 a.m. A joint incense burning altar was set up in Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall in Ansan, south of Seoul.
Hi Mark, I'm currently at Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall.
Reporter Connie Kim was on site to bring us the latest.
Danwon High School. 네, 들려요. 저 이거 마이크.
We have our Connie Kim joining us live from the Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall where the altar has been set up. Connie, we hear that the altar has opened about an hour ago. Give us the details.
Right, Jinju. I'm currently standing by at the Ansan Olympic Memorial Hall, which is about 5 minutes from Danwon High School. Now, as you can see,
The whole nation is in shock and are mourning over the sinking of the passenger ferry Sewol-ho. In particular, fierce competition among media outlets for news coverage has hurt the bereaved.
Throughout this incident, there was much heated competition in Korean media especially, and that's why we saw many incorrect reports and coverages that were not considerate of the victims and of those who are suffering from this disaster. I think we really need to come together and rethink and reflect on the role of journalists, of news reporters, on the role of journalism itself in the society when all of this is over. I think all of our reporters are with me on this, and probably all news anchors, especially here in Korea. At the end of the day, when we go home, we're just humans, and that's why we cannot but be swayed by the high emotions that are coming from the scene and the site, and we cannot but sympathize the families. And it was especially hard, I think, because although we're a global broadcaster, we're all very Korean, and as Koreans, this was a very difficult coverage, and one that I think I will probably remember all throughout my journalistic career.